All right, welcome to another video. This one is going to be ambitiously called UV mapping virtually any object in Maya, or I give myself permission to change it if I want a different title afterward. So this is going to go through a lot of different methods for text mapping something or UV mapping something, and I'm going to use this hilarious shape that I put together that just involves a lot of the things that we might run into. I doubt that you're going to run into this particular object, but it's going to be used as a tool to go through a whole lot of different ways of doing things. So in previous ones that we've gone through cylindrical mapping, spherical mapping, planar mapping. There's a couple other ones I don't think I've gone through, which is in particular like normal mapping. We're going to deal with things like unfolding and laying out. So to start with, we're going to start with some, let's see, what shall we start with? We'll start with normal mapping. All right. Okay, so normal mapping, you're going to take this section right here and we'll open up our UV editor. So I just did a camera based projection over there so that it would zero out everything. Normal mapping basically calculates the normals of the object and calculates the UVs for it. It's really quite something. Wish they had that a while ago. Probably there would have been ways that would have been easier to do it. That I'm sure that workarounds that I had. But with it just like this, I just click that and bam, I have um, a nice UV setup just for that thing. All right, and so then say that you have another situation that's a little bit like this. Say I didn't want to just project just on that on those normals. I actually wanted to do a cylindrical map on that. I can go right in here in my UV toolkit, select the cylindrical map. Now I'd like to have the seam be right on the back there. So this is important to calculate at this particular point in the juncture. Is you hold on to the little handle that's going on right over there. You move it all around there. You hold on to this red handle and you move that all the way to the back. And now you have that guy textured. Okay. Now let's do some cylindrical mapping. Anyway, we already went over the cylindrical mapping, but just to get this object textures, we're going to do it right over here. So I'm going to choose that. And sometimes when you're selecting objects, you want to be able to move it around and understand what the object looks like, or when you're UV mapping something, that is. So everything looks like it's all selected. And I'm just going to go over here to cylindrical map, and I'm going to put I think I'll put the UVs also on this other side. So I will move that handle over there. I'll pull these guys to the back, and we have that guy selected. And we're going to do more cylinder mapping over here. Now you'll also notice that I'm just placing these guys right around wherever. And if I go into UV shell, I can click on any of these shells over here and I can move them around however I want. I could scale them up, I could do whatever. Makes me happy. But what's going to make me happy now is to UV map this, this cylinder right over here. Oop. So all right, so I've done that. I'm going to deselect that bottom area, and I'll do another cylindrical map. I think I'm going to make that seam go on the back as well, right over there. So I have a seam going all along the back. Bring that all out there. Move this guy out of the way, and we are good on that. Okay. All right, so now here's a funny one. This one was a little trick. It's a UV copy and paste. All right, so UV copy and paste was a little something. I don't know if there's actually a command for it now or not, but I learned it when I was at LucasArts working on Republic Commando, and it may be outdated now, but I still think that there is some usefulness to it. So basically, say we have a texture over here. I'm going to just choose best plane. Let's see here. Let's try automatic. Okay. So say we have a texture just like that. And now, assuming that we had a shader on this, we would have applied it. Now, we wanted to take that object, or this face, and put it right on this face and the other face. So instead of planar mapping this, which axis am I projecting to, which axis am I projecting this to, I would map it onto the keyboard and just copy this one, paste, and we'd be done. Although, sometimes the order of the UVs would be incorrect, and then I'd have to move it around. So this involves just a little short Mel script that you can put up on your shelf, and it's basically this. It's perform poly copy paste space 0 space 1, and you have to make sure that you do the proper capitalizing for that. So we'll take that and we're going to put that up on our shelf. There's that Mel script over there. We can edit it, and we're just going to call it copy. That's up there, and then we're going to get the paste one, and that's the same text, but it should just be a 2 at the end. So perform capital P for in poly, capital C copy, capital P paste, space 0 space 2. So we'll take that, we'll put that up here. Oops. All right, hopefully that should work. If it doesn't work, then this tool is outdated. So I have this one selected. I go over there, I copy it, I go over here, I paste it, it goes right up there, and I go over here and I paste it, and it goes right up there. So you see we have those 3 things. If we had the textures on them, they'd all be the same. So that's kind of useful somehow. It came in handy in the assault chip. I had a lot of different pieces. They were just copying and pasting, and might come in handy if you're doing something like a bunch of I don't know, some little computer screens that are lit up. I think I did that once with a Star Trek mobile Star Trek game. Cool. All right, on to the next thing. All right, so now let's go on to something a little different. We click on our big object. What do you have left? All right, let's do Move and Sew. Move and Sew is one of the most amazing tools that has come out of some of the newer, the new Maya versions. Okay, let's take these guys here. We're going to do the legs. Let's do automatic map on that. automatic map on that. Do this leg. And automatic map on that. All right, so here we are. So you could just leave it like that if you wanted, but there's a couple other things that we can do, and this is pretty cool. So we're going to go in here and we're going to select the edges. Notice how when I move over this edge, two edges are highlighted. That means that in that UV there's one edge that is sharing both parts of that. So what that means is if I go over here and I click on this one, and then I right click, I go down here to Move and Sew, I select Move and Sew, it has just taken it from that other side, moved it together, sewed them together, and we just moved something around. So then I'm going to take that one, go Move and Sew, there we go, click on this one, right click, Move and Sew, and now those guys are together. All right, then how about I go back to the edge, click on this, and you can see that one and that one are now selected. And then I'm going to select Move and Sew. Right, now where is our little cube? Did we not select that? There it is. What's up with that guy? He was a little small. I think I might have forgotten him. So I'm going to take this guy, and then I'm going to move him and sew him down here. And I right click, Move and Sew, Move and Sew. All right, so there he is, that leg. Now I have to do the same thing for the other guys. It'd be neat if there was a way that you didn't have to do that. Maybe there is. There always is more than one way to skin an object. Move and Sew, click on that, select Move and Sew, click on that, select Move and Sew, click on this, select Move and Sew, click over there, select Move and Sew. All right, we do this guy. And this is only this is only showing just one little bit of the usefulness of Move and Sew. It's you'll use this a lot when you're making a lot of objects inside of an environment. You'll especially use it when you're making characters. It's extraordinarily handy in combination with Unfold, which in fact is probably the next thing that we should do. So, right, so we have those legs, and that's one of the neat things about cut and sew. So here's a little thing about unfolding. This isn't the best example of unfolding, but these guys, if I go over and look at this with the, okay, here we are. If I look at it with the checkerboard texture on, we might have some stretching, some things a little funky over there. It doesn't look too terribly bad. But one of the things that I want to do in the final texture is I want all these guys to be laying on top of each other. So I'm going to click Unfold. That will remove any little bits of stretching or warping. And these guys are pretty much similar in the way that they look. I can go in there and do a little bit of editing. Here is an example of aligning. Now I can take the topmost one and I can align these guys to that. And I can align that. In order to do this, I used to scale them. into like 0 scale, but no need to do that. So get these guys in the right spot. And you can also do this by snapping verts together, but sometimes you don't know which, how many verts are in there. In this case, it'll just be 2 because we have that other one over there. Now this guy over here, we can do another snapping to the top, snapping to the top, and then these guys can center, center. All right, so now that's taking up that space a lot less. And we can do the same with this one. Let's move it around just so it's a little bit easier to recognize. Alrighty, so let's move it on top of these guys. You know, we have one. You know, we're snapping verts together so they can all, well, they're moving that one away, so that they'll all be on top of each other. All right. Okay. Good. Now they are all taking up essentially the same space. So we have those guys. Put those away. All right. Now on to the next thing. This one, we're going to do this guy up here on the top. Now this is an unusual thing. This is kind of fun. Sometimes it's hard to do it if the object is together with the rest of the object. Like with this one over here, it's going to be the same thing, but we're probably going to have to take it away from the rest of the object. So this is texture mapping along a curved tube is the best answer or best title I can give it. All right, texture mapping or UV mapping along a curved tube. I'm going to hide that guy. Turn off that texture. So, a lot of history there. There's a bunch of steps to this. Kind of weird. I don't know exactly why all the steps work, but it does. And there's multiple ways of doing it. I saw one person do it completely differently, and it all came out to the same exact thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to select faces here. We're going to select all these guys. We're not going to select that guy. We're going to select those. I'm going to go to our UV editor, and we're going to do unitize. So step 1 is unitize. All right, now step 2 is select the whole edge that goes down the length. So now what we can do is we can go in here. You'll also notice that all of these are all highlighted. That's because each one of them is their own boundary. That's why it's all right there in the middle. So if I select edges, I double click this guy. Now we're going to get a lot more edges that we don't need. And we just want the edge going down the length of the tube. So I'm going to go delete, or rather deselect these other edges. So the only edges that we should have selected is going down the length of this tube. And then we're going to select this edge loop over here. So you've selected the length, you select one end edge loop over there, select the second edge loop right over there. All right, we got those going. Now, this step is converting two UVs. So what we do is we hold down Control and we right mouse button and we go 2 UVs, 2 UVs. And we got that. All right, so these guys are done. Now, here's the kind of tricky thing. Once we have that going, we invert the selection. So hold down your Shift key, which usually behaves in a strange manner, and we go over here and invert it. All right, we also don't want this one, so I am going to deselect that one because we're not UV mapping that thing. All right, we're close to the end here. Now the next one is our lovely cut and sew. So what we do is we hold, no, we don't. We just hold down the right mouse button and we go to cut and sew, move and sew. And just like that, that tube is now just like that. Now the only thing though is that there's going to be some issues with warping. So if I go in here and I put on that, yeah, it looks a little funky because it's so much bigger than everything else. So I'm gonna bring that down, probably do unfold so that we can see if they avoid any stretching. And there we go. So that's what it looks like, and there's no stretching in there. And it just goes wonderfully right along that side. So pretty. Right, on to the next thing. And this is going to be this guy. This one's a little crazy.